First Contact Supreme Commander Vexaloran stood motionless on the command bridge of the Imperial Dominance, his silver-scaled skin reflecting the soft blue glow of the control panels. His six-fingered hands were clasped behind his back as he gazed at the blue-green planet displayed on the massive viewscreen. Primitive, he said, the word sounding harsh through his translator. Their most advanced vessels still use combustion engines and ballistic weapons. Sub-Commander Trell approached, offering a data tablet. The assessment is complete, Supreme Commander. The humans have achieved spaceflight but have only established outposts on their moon and neighboring planet. Their energy weapons are rudimentary, at best. They rely primarily on kinetic projectiles and nuclear warheads. Vexaloran's inner eyelids flicked in amusement. The Emperor will be pleased. Resource-rich planets with minimal defense capabilities are exactly what the Kailari Empire needs for expansion. Shall we commence the standard first contact protocol? Trell asked. Yes. Prepare the display formation. Let them witness true power. As the Kailari fleet rearranged into an intimidating geometric pattern around Earth, Captain Elena Reyes stood in the control center of the International Space Defense Command, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the alien vessels. At 45, with streaks of gray in her black hair, she had spent her entire career preparing for this moment, humanity's first contact with an extraterrestrial civilization. They're moving into formation, reported Lieutenant Commander Jackson, his fingers dancing across the tactical display. 17 vessels, each approximately 3 kilometers long. Energy readings are off the charts, Captain. Elena nodded, keeping her expression neutral despite the churning in her stomach. Humanity had united after decades of conflict to form the Earth Defense Fleet, but their most advanced ships were mere shuttles compared to the behemoths now orbiting their planet. Open all communication channels, she ordered. Let's not keep our visitors waiting. The main screen flickered to life, revealing Vexaloran's alien features. His silver-scaled face was elongated, with large, vertical pupilled eyes and a lipless mouth. He wore an ornate uniform adorned with symbols of rank and achievement. People of Earth, the alien's voice rumbled through the translator. I am Supreme Commander Vexaloran of the Kailari Empire. Your world has been noticed by Emperor Zorkavix, ruler of 1,000 star systems. We come offering the opportunity for your species to join our glorious empire as a protected territory. Elena stepped forward. Supreme Commander, I am Captain Elena Reyes of Earth's Unified Defense Command. On behalf of Earth's United Nations, I welcome you to our system. We are interested in peaceful dialogue and cultural exchange, but Earth is not seeking to become a territory of any empire. Vexaloran's inner eyelids flickered rapidly, a gesture Elena couldn't interpret. Captain Reyes, perhaps you misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. The Kailari Empire has determined that your world possesses valuable resources. We offer protection in exchange for reasonable access to these resources. The alternative would be unfortunate. On the command bridge of the Imperial Dominance, Trell leaned toward Vexaloran. Their vessels are changing positions, Supreme Commander. They appear to be moving to defensive formations. Primitive instincts, Vexaloran replied dismissively. Show them our weapons capability. Target one of their orbital stations, uninhabited, but visible from their planet's surface. Back on Earth, alarms blared as energy readings spiked from one of the alien vessels. They're powering weapons, Jackson shouted. Elena's mind raced. Earth's defenses were nowhere near capable of withstanding an attack from these ships. All stations maintain defensive positions, but do not, I repeat, do not engage. Open a direct channel to Supreme Commander Vexaloran. Before she could speak, a brilliant beam of energy lanced from one of the Kailari ships, striking an abandoned research platform in high orbit. The station vaporized instantly, leaving nothing but scattered debris. A demonstration, Vexaloran's voice came through the comm system. Your orbital infrastructure is vulnerable. Your weapons cannot penetrate our shields. Consider your position carefully, Captain Reyes. Elena's hands clenched into fists, but her voice remained steady. Supreme Commander, destroying our property is not a productive way to begin diplomatic relations. We request 24 hours to consult with Earth's leadership regarding your offer. There was a pause before Vexaloran responded. Very well. 24 of your hours. We await your decision. As the communication ended, Elena turned to her senior staff. I want every piece of data we have on their ships. Power signatures, shield frequencies, weapon capabilities, everything. And get me a secure line to the Security Council. Admiral Chen, the weathered head of Earth's combined military forces, stepped forward. They outmatch us technologically. In every way, Captain. What are you looking for? Elena's eyes hardened. Everyone has a weakness, Admiral, even those who think they're invincible. In the research lab of the ISDC headquarters, Dr. Prisha Sharma worked feverishly, analyzing the sensor data from the alien ships. A brilliant physicist who had revolutionized Earth's understanding of energy barriers, she noticed something unusual in the readings. This can't be right, she muttered, running the analysis again. The computer confirmed her suspicion and a slow smile spread across her face. She immediately contacted Captain Reyes. Captain, I found something. The Kalari shields, they're not continuous. They operate on a fluctuating energy pattern with microsecond vulnerabilities in the cycle. Vulnerabilities? Elena's voice sharpened with interest. Can we exploit them? Possibly, Prisha replied. Their shield technology is incredibly advanced, but it appears designed primarily to counter energy weapons, probably because that's what they predominantly use. But there's a moment, just a fraction of a second, when the shield recycles. During that instant, it might be penetrable by a high-velocity kinetic projectile. Our primitive weapons, Elena said, the irony not lost on her. Exactly. They've likely optimized their defenses against threats they consider worthy. They may have overlooked ballistic weapons entirely. Elena considered this information. How precise would our timing need to be? Incredibly precise, we're talking microseconds, but Prisha hesitated. I think I can develop a targeting system that synchronizes with their shield cycles. Do it, Elena ordered. And Dr. Sharma, work quickly. I don't think our visitors are the patient type. On the Imperial Dominance, Vexaloran reviewed the scans of Earth's military capabilities with growing confidence. Their primitive projectile weapons and rudimentary energy shields posed no threat to Kalari technology. This conquest would be simple, adding another resource-rich world to the Emperor's growing collection. The humans are moving several vessels into higher orbit, Trell reported. Small craft, minimal weapons. Observe but do not engage, Vexaloran ordered. Let them position their toys as they wish. It makes no difference to the outcome. Trell nodded, but something in the human behavior puzzled him. They must know they cannot win a direct confrontation. Why posture with such inferior technology? Vexaloran's mouth stretched into the Kalari equivalent of a smile. Pride, Sub-Commander. A common failing among developing species. They cannot accept their place in the galactic hierarchy without first proving to themselves that they have no alternative. And once they have proven this, then Earth becomes another jewel in the Emperor's crown. Their resistance will be a footnote in Kalari history, if it merits mention at all. As night fell across Earth's command centers, engineers and scientists worked without rest, modifying targeting systems based on Dr. Sharma's calculations. Military leaders prepared contingency plans, hoping diplomacy would prevail, but readying for the worst. In her private quarters, Elena Reyes stood at the window, looking up at the stars now hidden by the imposing silhouettes of alien warships. 24 hours to convince an interstellar empire to leave them in peace, or to prepare for a war they couldn't possibly win through conventional means. Her communicator chimed, displaying Admiral Chen's name. Captain, the Security Council has reached a decision. They're authorizing Operation Longshot. Elena took a deep breath. Understood, Admiral. Let's hope our primitive weapons surprise them. As the deadline approached, both humans and Kalari prepared for what would come next, neither fully understanding how this encounter would change the course of both their civilizations forever. Assessment. The 24-hour grace period passed with tense negotiations that went nowhere. Supreme Commander Vexaloran had expected nothing less from a species facing subjugation. It was always the same: denial, bargaining, hollow threats, and finally acceptance. "Deploy the assessment teams," he ordered from his command chair. "I want detailed scans of their military installations, power grids, and communication networks." Standard conquest protocol. 3 sleek Kailari shuttles detached from the mothership, their hulls gleaming under Earth's sun as they descended toward different continents. Each carried a team of elite Kailari scientists and warriors, tasked with evaluating the planet's defenses up close. "Remember," Vexaloran's voice came through the comm system, "the humans are to be treated as a study subject, not an enemy combatant. Yet, observe their capabilities, but do not engage unless threatened." On the lead shuttle, Science Officer Kalara adjusted the settings on her scanner. Unlike most Kailari, she harbored a genuine curiosity about other species beyond their strategic value. "Their atmospheric composition has higher oxygen levels than our homeworld," she noted, "consistent with their faster metabolism. It might explain their relatively quick technological advancement despite their short lifespans." Warrior Captain Drav snorted dismissively. "Quick advancement? They've barely left their own planet." "They've accomplished in centuries what took us millennia," Kalara replied mildly. "That rate of development is worth studying." The shuttle touched down in an isolated area outside Geneva, Switzerland, a landing site agreed upon during the tense negotiations. A human delegation waited, surrounded by what the Kailari recognized as primitive security forces carrying ballistic weapons. In the ISDC headquarters, Captain Reyes watched the aliens emerge from their shuttle via secure video feed. The Kailari moved with fluid grace, their silver-scaled bodies reflecting sunlight as they approached the human delegation. "Keep all feeds running," Elena ordered. "I want every interaction recorded and analyzed. Dr. Sharma, are you getting the readings you need?" Prisha nodded, her eyes fixed on her tablet. "Their personal shields operate on the same principle as their ships. There's definitely a pattern to the fluctuations." She looked up at Elena. "Captain, I need more data, closer readings of their shield harmonics." "You'll get it," Elena promised. "Our delegation has been instructed to extend every courtesy, including a tour of one of our less advanced research facilities." Admiral Chen frowned. "Showing them our technology feels like helping them map their conquest." "They'll only see what we want them to see," Elena assured him. "And meanwhile, we'll learn everything we can about them." The Kailari assessment team moved through the human research facility with an air of superiority that was difficult to miss. Science Officer Kalara examined the equipment with genuine interest, while Warrior Captain Drav barely disguised his contempt. "This is your particle accelerator?" Drav asked, gesturing at the massive ring-shaped structure visible through reinforced glass. "We developed similar technology 10,000 years ago." Dr. Marcus Chen, the facility director, smiled politely. "Yes, we're still exploring the fundamentals of particle physics. Perhaps you could share some insights from your more advanced understanding?" "That would violate our imperial directives," Kalara interjected smoothly. "We observe, but do not interfere with natural technological progression, unless you decide to conquer us," Marcus replied, his smile never wavering. Then all directives regarding interference seemed to vanish. Drav stepped closer, his tall frame looming over the human scientist. "Careful, human. Observation can quickly become subjugation if we deem it necessary." Marcus met the alien's gaze without flinching. "Just making an observation of my own, Warrior Captain." As the tour continued, hidden sensors throughout the facility recorded every detail of the Kailari technology, particularly their shield generators. The data streamed directly to Dr. Sharma's lab, where she worked feverishly on her targeting system. "Their shields aren't just for show," she muttered as readings flooded her screen. "They're blocking all our scanning attempts beyond surface data." Her assistant, Dr. James Wilson, looked up from his workstation. "Maybe we can push harder. Use the deep space array to bounce a high-energy pulse off their shields?" Prisha shook her head. Too obvious, they'd detect it immediately. She tapped her stylus against her tablet, thinking, but there is another way. In the Geneva facility, the tour had reached the Weapons Research Division, an area that particularly interested the Kailari warriors. "These are your most advanced weapons?" Drav asked, examining the railgun prototype behind security glass. "One of them," Marcus replied carefully. "It uses electromagnetic force to accelerate projectiles to hypersonic speeds." Kalara's instruments whirred as she scanned the device. "Kinetic weaponry, effective against unshielded targets but useless against our defensive systems." Marcus nodded thoughtfully. "We've always found projectile weapons reliable. Energy weapons require enormous power supplies and have a tendency to overheat. Sometimes the simple solution is the most elegant." Drav made a sound that might have been laughter. "Primitive thinking. Your elegant solutions would barely scratch our hull plating." As if on cue, the facility lights flickered momentarily. A prearranged signal. Marcus checked his watch. "If you'll excuse me for one moment. Seems we're having some power fluctuations. Please feel free to continue examining the railgun. It's completely powered down, of course." As soon as Marcus left the room, Kalara turned to Drav. "They're scanning us." "Obviously," Drav replied. "Let them. Their sensors can't penetrate our shields." What the Kailari didn't realize was that the momentary power fluctuation had masked a precisely calibrated electromagnetic pulse, not powerful enough to damage their systems, but perfectly tuned to cause their personal shields to cycle through a reset. In that microsecond of recalibration, the facility's hidden sensors captured everything. Back at ISDC headquarters, Prisha watched as the data flowed in. "It worked. We've got complete readings on their personal shield harmonics." Her fingers flew across her keyboard. "The fluctuation pattern is consistent with their ship shields, just scaled down." Elena leaned over her shoulder. "Can you exploit it?" "I think so," Prisha replied, excitement building in her voice. "Their shields are incredibly sophisticated, but they have a fundamental design philosophy that creates this vulnerability. They've optimized for energy deflection but left a cyclical gap. It's like they've built the perfect umbrella against rain, but never considered someone might throw a rock." Admiral Chen joined them, his expression serious. "How long until we can weaponize this knowledge?" "The targeting system is nearly complete," Prisha said, "but we need to test it in real-world conditions. A simulation won't be enough." Elena's communicator chimed with an incoming message from the Geneva facility. "Captain, this is Dr. Chen. The Kailari are preparing to depart. They've completed their assessment of our primitive technology. One of them actually patted me on the shoulder like I was a child. Did you get what we needed? Better than expected. They're completely confident in their technological superiority. They didn't even try to hide their shield frequencies." Elena smiled grimly. "Good work, Marcus. Return to base as soon as they're gone." On the bridge of the Imperial Dominance, Vexaloran reviewed the assessment team's findings with growing satisfaction. "As expected," he said to Trell. "Their most advanced weapons are ballistic in nature. Their energy weapons are rudimentary at best. Their defense systems rely primarily on mutual destruction deterrents, nuclear weapons." "Shall I prepare the Sadi subjugation announcement?" Trell asked. Vexaloran considered for a moment. "No. I believe a demonstration is in order first. Select a small, uninhabited island. We'll show them what happens to those who refuse the Emperor's generous offer." Once Supreme Commander. Unbeknownst to the Kailari, Earth's defense forces were already mobilizing. Orbital platforms which had appeared dormant suddenly hummed with activity. Stealth submarines surfaced briefly to receive new targeting data before disappearing beneath the waves again. And in hardened bunkers around the world, railgun batteries were being modified with Dr. Sharma's targeting system. In her lab, Prisha made the final adjustments to the synchronization algorithm. The targeting computer would need to predict the exact microsecond when the Kalari shield cycled, then fire with perfect timing. "The math checks out," James said, looking over the calculations. "But this is still theoretical. We've never tested it against their actual shield systems." We're about to, Prisha replied, uploading the final program to Earth's defense network. Let's hope their arrogance continues. The more they underestimate us, the better chance we have. Elena stood in the command center watching as technicians integrated the new targeting system across Earth's defense grid. The diplomatic channels remained open, but negotiations had stalled. The Kalari demands were clear: submit to Imperial authority or face destruction. Captain, a communications officer called out. We're detecting increased energy readings from the Kalari fleet. They're repositioning. The tactical display showed the alien vessels moving into an attack formation. One ship broke away, descending toward the Pacific Ocean. They're targeting Jarvis Island, the tactical officer reported. Uninhabited, but it's U.S. territory. Elena's jaw tightened. They're making a statement. Admiral, is defense platform Sierra operational? Chen nodded. It came online 10 minutes ago. The targeting system is installed but untested. It's about to get its test, Elena said. Order Sierra to prepare for engagement, but hold fire until my command. And get me Supreme Commander Vexaloran. The alien commander's face appeared on the main screen, his expression unreadable to human eyes. Captain Reyes, have you reconsidered your position? Supreme Commander, our sensors indicate one of your vessels is on an attack trajectory toward Earth territory. I must ask you to recall your ship immediately. Vexaloran's inner eyelids flickered. We are merely conducting a demonstration, Captain. Your leaders seem to require additional motivation to accept reality. If you attack any part of Earth, we will consider it an act of war, Elena stated firmly. War? Vexaloran actually laughed, a harsh clicking sound. Your species cannot comprehend what war with the Kalari Empire would mean. Once our demonstration is complete, you will understand the futility of resistance. The communication ended, abruptly. On the tactical display, the Kalari vessel had reached its destination and was powering up its weapons systems. Sierra platform reports target lock, the tactical officer announced. Awaiting your order, Captain. Elena took a deep breath. Everything hinged on whether Dr. Sharma's targeting system would work. If it failed, Earth would have revealed its response capability for nothing. Tell Sierra to fire on my mark, she ordered. Target the Kalari vessel's primary weapon array, and may God help us all. As the Kalari ship prepared to vaporize Jarvis Island, a sequence of events was set in motion that would forever change how the Kalari Empire viewed primitive species. The moment their shields cycled for just a microsecond would become the turning point in humanity's first interstellar conflict. The warning shot, the Kalari warship, inevitable victory, hovered 30 kilometers above Jarvis Island, its weapon systems fully charged. On its command bridge, Captain Makor watched the targeting display with casual disinterest. Destroying an uninhabited island hardly seemed worthy of his ship's formidable capabilities, but orders were orders. Target locked, his weapons officer reported. Particle beam at full power. Commence firing sequence, Makor ordered. Let's give these humans their demonstration. In low Earth orbit, defense platform Sierra tracked the alien vessel with its newly modified targeting system. The platform was little more than a railgun attached to a small power core and guidance system, one of dozens that had been quietly deployed over the past year as part of Earth's orbital defense network. Target locked, the platform's AI reported, to Earth Command. Shield fluctuation pattern analyzed, firing solution computed. In the ISDC command center, Elena Reyes watched the tactical display with controlled tension. Fire. The railgun's electromagnetic accelerators engaged, launching a tungsten rod at 30 kilometers per second. The projectile was barely 20 centimeters long and 5 centimeters in diameter, a tiny needle against the massive Kalari warship. On the inevitable victory, alarms suddenly blared. Captain, detecting a high-velocity object approaching from orbit, the sensor officer reported, surprise evident in his voice. Makor didn't even look up from the firing sequence. Ignore it. Our shields will handle any primitive projectile. Under normal circumstances, he would have been correct. The Kalari shield technology had defended against weaponry, far more sophisticated than Earth's simple kinetic projectiles. But for one crucial microsecond, as the shield cycled through its regeneration sequence, there was a gap, and the tungsten rod passed through that gap with perfect timing. The impact was catastrophic. The rod struck the inevitable Victory's main weapon array at 30 kilometers per second, delivering kinetic energy equivalent to a small tactical nuclear weapon. The resulting explosion tore through the ship's hull, vaporizing the weapon systems and causing cascading failures throughout the vessel. In the ISDC command center, a cheer erupted as the tactical display showed the direct hit. "Confirm impact," Elena ordered, silencing the celebration. "What's the damage assessment?" "Direct hit on their main weapon array," the tactical officer reported, unable to keep the excitement from his voice. "They've sustained significant damage. Their power grid is fluctuating and they're venting atmosphere from multiple hull breaches." Admiral Chen leaned closer to the display. "They're not destroyed, but they're crippled. Dr. Sharma's targeting system worked perfectly." Elena immediately opened a channel to Supreme Commander Vexilloran. His face appeared on the screen, and for once the alien commander looked genuinely shocked. "What have you done?" he demanded. "We defended our territory, Supreme Commander," Elena replied calmly. "Your vessel was preparing to attack Earth soil. We responded accordingly. With primitive weapons that cannot penetrate our shields," Vexilloran hissed. "Evidently, that assessment was incorrect," Elena said. "The inevitable Victory has been crippled by our primitive weapons. We recommend you send rescue vessels to retrieve the crew." Vexilloran's inner eyelids blinked rapidly, a sign of agitation that Elena was beginning to recognize. "This changes nothing. Your single success against one ship is meaningless. Our fleet will reduce your cities to ash." "Before you make that decision, Supreme Commander," Elena said, "you should know that Platform Sierra is just one of many. We have similar weapons locked on every ship in your fleet, all calibrated to your shield frequencies." This wasn't entirely true. They had only managed to modify a handful of platforms so far, but Vexilloran didn't need to know that. "Impossible," Vexilloran snarled. "You could not have developed such technology so quickly." "We've been preparing for first contact for decades, Commander," Elena bluffed. "Your arrival simply accelerated our timetable. I suggest we return to negotiations before this conflict escalates further." After the communication ended, Trell approached Vexilloran on the bridge of the Imperial Dominance. "The humans' weapons breached our shields," he said, disbelief evident in his voice. "How is this possible?" Vexilloran turned to his chief science officer. "Explain." The science officer, Varric, looked distinctly uncomfortable. "Preliminary analysis suggests they've somehow synchronized their weapon systems with our shield fluctuation patterns. They're firing precisely when our shields are in reset mode. Reset mode lasts for microseconds," Vexilloran said. "Their targeting systems shouldn't be capable of such precision." "Evidently they are," Varric replied. "We may have underestimated their technological capabilities." On the crippled inevitable Victory, Captain Makor struggled to maintain order as emergency systems failed across the ship. The tungsten rod had punched through 3 decks before expending its energy, leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. "Seal off decks 9 through 11, he ordered. "Redirect power to life support and emergency shields." His communications officer looked up from her damaged console. "Captain, we're receiving transmission from the Imperial Dominance. They're sending rescue shuttles." Makor fought down his rage and humiliation. A primitive species had crippled his advanced warship with what amounted to a glorified spear. The Emperor would hear of this disgrace. Back on Earth, Dr. Sharma reviewed the data from the successful strike, her team already working to improve the targeting system further. The synchronization was off by 3 nanoseconds, she noted. "We can improve that with a more refined algorithm." 3 nanoseconds? James asked incredulously. "That's practically perfect." "But not perfect enough," Prisha replied. "If they adapt their shield frequencies, which they certainly will, we'll need even greater precision." Elena entered the lab, fatigue evident on her face despite the victory. "Outstanding work, Dr. Sharma. Your targeting system just changed the course of this conflict." Temporarily, Prisha cautioned. They'll analyze what happened and modify their shields. This was the easy part. They weren't expecting us to exploit their weakness. Next time, they'll be prepared. How quickly can they adapt? Elena asked. Hard to say. Their shield technology is far more advanced than ours, but that complexity might work against them. Major changes to fundamental systems take time, even with advanced technology. Then we need to press our advantage while we have it, Elena said. Every defense platform in orbit is being fitted with your targeting system as we speak. Ground-based railguns, too. James looked up from his workstation. What about the Thunder Child? Elena's expression grew serious. That's classified information, Dr. Wilson. Sorry, Captain, he said. But if there was ever a time to deploy it... Elena didn't respond directly. Keep refining the targeting system. We may have won this skirmish, but the Kalari aren't going to retreat because of one damaged ship. In low Earth orbit, a massive space station appeared to be nothing more than a civilian research facility. Its true purpose was known only to a handful of military leaders. Inside, engineers worked frantically to install Dr. Sharma's targeting system on what the world's governments had secretly been building for the past 5 years. Earth's first true warship, the EDF Thunder Child. On the Imperial Dominance, Supreme. Commander Vexaloran faced the most difficult communication of his career. Emperor Zorkavix's holographic image loomed before him, radiating disapproval. You assured me this would be a simple acquisition, the Emperor said, his voice dangerously soft. Now I learn that a primitive species has crippled an Imperial warship. Explain yourself, Commander. Vexaloran bowed deeply. A temporary setback, Your Radiance. The humans have shown unexpected ingenuity in exploiting a minor design characteristic of our shield systems. We are already implementing countermeasures. Minor design characteristic? The Emperor repeated. Our shields are the pride of Imperial technology, Vexaloran. They have protected our ships for millennia. Yet these humans, who barely understand faster-than-light travel, have found a way to render them ineffective. Not ineffective, Your Radiance. Vexaloran corrected carefully. They managed one successful strike using a synchronization method we didn't anticipate. It will not happen again. The Emperor's bioluminescent patterns pulsed with anger. See that it doesn't. I have dispatched reinforcements. When they arrive, you will crush this human resistance completely. Their defiance must be answered with overwhelming force. It will be done, Your Radiance, Vexaloran promised, bowing again as the Emperor's hologram disappeared. When he straightened, Trell was waiting nearby. The fleet engineers report they can implement a randomized shield frequency. Within 6 hours, it should prevent the humans from synchronizing their weapons with our shield cycles. Make it 3 hours, Vexaloran ordered, and prepare a full battle plan. When our reinforcements arrive, we will strike simultaneously at all their major defense installations. No more demonstrations, no more negotiations. What about their orbital weapons platforms? Trell asked. They claim to have many more. Destroy them first, Vexaloran said. Whether they have 10 or 100, they cannot withstand a coordinated assault from our fleet. As the Kaelari prepared for all-out war, Elena met with Earth's Security Council in an emergency session. The representatives from various nations showed a mix of relief at the successful defense and fear of the retaliation that would surely follow. One victory doesn't win a war, the Russian representative cautioned. The Kaelari will adapt their technology. Of course they will, Elena agreed. But we've proven they're not invincible. Dr. Sharma is already working on countermeasures to their countermeasures. The Thunder Child? The Chinese representative asked. We'll be ready within 12 hours, Elena confirmed. But it's only one ship and an experimental one at that. We need more time to expand our defenses. The U.S. representative leaned forward. Time is the one thing we don't have, Captain. Our intelligence suggests the Kaelari fleet is preparing for a full-scale attack, and reinforcements are on the way. Then we need to change the battlefield, Elena said, bringing up a holographic display of the solar system. If we can lure them away from Earth, perhaps to lunar orbit, we gain 2 advantages. distance from civilian populations and proximity to the Thunderchild's hidden dock. The Security Council debated the strategy, eventually coming to agreement. Earth would present a false vulnerability, an apparent gap in the lunar orbital defenses that would tempt the Kalari fleet into position for an ambush. As the meeting concluded, the U.S. representative took Elena aside. "This is our Thermopylae, Captain. We're vastly outnumbered with inferior technology." "The Spartans lost at Thermopylae," Elena reminded him. "Yes, but they changed the course of the war," he replied. "Sometimes victory isn't about winning the battle you're in. It's about setting the conditions for battles to come." As Elena left the council chambers, her communicator chimed with an urgent message from Dr. Sharma. "Captain, we've detected unusual energy signatures from the Kylari fleet. They're modifying their shield systems." "Already?" Elena asked, her stomach sinking. "How effective will our targeting systems be against the modifications?" There was a pause before Prisha answered. "Unknown. But I have an idea that might work, regardless of their modifications. How quickly can you get to the Thunderchild?" "I'll be there in 30 minutes, Elena said, already changing direction toward the shuttle bay. "What's your idea?" "Something the Kalari would never expect from primitive humans."